I'm Nowak, and I proudly present to you another piece of the Halo lineup from Nerf. For today's presentation of Super Foam Flying here on HJN Season 5, the Bulldog SG. Well, does anything come to mind? As a matter of fact, I do seem to recall that there was a blaster called the Bulldog that had come out years earlier. And it was not from a Halo lineup, but rather Mega Aki-Strike. Yep, that is the Bulldog itself. So to call this Bulldog is ridiculous. And SG is pretty much the only differentiation between the two, so whether to call this the SG or not is just simply what I would probably piece this together. So SG is just what I would call this one. They got weird names for Halo blasters, but for the most part, what I can say about this exact model is that for a Nerf-related Halo blaster that utilizes 12-gauge, 2.05mm shells, yeah, it's pretty much engraved right on the side that that's what the in-game gun actually uses. But for a Nerf variation, it doesn't at all use 12-gauge shells. It uses these foam darts, basically. And it uses a whopping 12 of them inside of this small drum. So it's a pretty streamlined sort of drum as opposed to most drum mag blasters that have the drum attached or just simply utilize a drum magazine. Most of the drums would be larger, like on the Surgefire or Shockwave. But here it's more smaller, which definitely gives it a more streamlined appearance. And compared to the rest of the profile that you see on the side, it really is pretty thin for the most part. Some blasters can be rather chunky in a way, but I don't quite see that happening in this case. So I find that to be pretty nice aesthetic-wise. Color scheme is also pretty nice. You got a nice combination of army green, white, dark gray, and orange. And the darts themselves are white and army green, pretty much to match with the colors of this blaster itself. And so, of course, that's just mostly the appearance and whatnot. I do like these parts, but I guess if there's one big problem I should address right off the bat, in case you weren't just noticing this shoulder stock is really rubbing up against me. When I try to hold it firm, just slides upwards. And manages to slip above my shoulder, just like that. So I almost feel like you gotta hold it steady like this, or softly against this part of the shoulder. But how well does it do performance-wise? Well, for the most part, utilizing a pump grip on the bottom with a pretty unique sort of studded texture. Kind of like a rhinestone pattern. But that's pretty much that. I don't really have a whole lot else to say on that whole part. And so, draw-wise, it's a little bit shorter in a way compared to the length of most blasters. A lot of draw would happen to be about a foot in length. The Centurion was wicked long. Way more than a foot of draw just to prime the blaster. And even worse, it hardly ever worked correctly. The way I see it, Centurion's draw was ridiculous for what it was. And I'd say the SG is a lot shorter, almost in a way like what the long shot had, but otherwise, not seeing a lot of problems here in terms of that. So it does certainly work for what it is. I guess another problem, apart from the draw being a little too short from what I'm usually used to doing, to the stock rubbing up against me and managing to slip off easily compared to most blasters. And of course, you got yourself a blaster that does have a nice streamlined, thin look to it, but does seem to come at a few costs. With it not necessarily having the sort of balance to its weights that you would usually have, it tends to be a little more heavier on the front end. So you're probably going to need a strong arm on the left side or right, depending on what you're using to hold pump grip right here. And I feel like that all this is mostly adding to the weight up front, which is making it a little too heavy up in the front. The back, especially with the stock, doesn't really add up to much. So there's not much weight here which in turn sort of upsets the balance. Otherwise, I like the color scheme, the nice thin teal, the texture on the grip, this long tactical rail, which I don't know why, there's just a few smooth areas over here. And it also does have its own optional flip-up iron sights, both the male and female ends, of course. Somewhat basic, but it does happen on some blasters. And I certainly do like how it performs and how it feels for the most part. You even got two smaller tack rails on the sides, which can be helpful in some ways. Like you could store a dart storage holder in a way and allow for it to have more darts ready for you just in case you end up running out of the 12 that are included inside the drum. Otherwise, I'm not seeing a whole lot else I can talk about. So my rating for this would be a 7.3 out of 10.1 KFN official scoring wise. And if there's anything else I could say, well, I would highly recommend that you get one brand new, because then you can get yourself a nice voucher that comes with its own code, so you can get the in-game weapon for free. In case you are able to have one, then well, definitely find the code for this. Because even though I never played Halo, I can probably guarantee the in-game shotgun might actually be very good, just like what we have here. But of course, if you want to see more go down on my channel, then make sure that you like, subscribe, comment, follow me on social media, and stay on the Hollywood side.